Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Nam-Cheol Kim. I work for U.S. Pharmacopoeia. But first of all, I thank you very much for organizing committee in Rangsit University, and then also especially Dr. Surapote Wongyai in College of Oriental Medicine for inviting me to this as a speaker to this conference. Today, I'm going to talk about the herbal medicine monograph preparations by the United States Pharmacopoeia. For this presentation, I'm going to introduce United States Pharmacopoeia and then our program of the herbal medicines, and also how we developed the monograph for herbal medicines quality standard. The United States Pharmacopoeia is independent, not-for-profit organization, and then we established since 1820, which is the oldest pharmacopoeia institution around the world. Unlike most of the pharmacopoeia, we are not belong to the government, and we do mostly three things. The first one is we establish and disseminate public documentary standard, which is monograph, general chapters, and general notices for the quality and the purity, identity, and the labeling of the medicine, dietary supplement, and food. Also, we provide the physical reference standard to support the test and assay in USP Compendia. And also, we provide a lot of education programs to the industry and the practitioners and the other general public to provide the information of the quality and the USP standard. As you see in this map, USP has locations around the world. We are located in the city of Rockville, which is about 20 minutes driving from Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States. But also, our offices are in each continent of the world, in South America and Africa, Europe and Asia, especially in India, China, and Singapore, and Indonesia. And we have a laboratory in India that we operate the lab tests, as well as we conduct in our headquarters in the United States. Our work is based on the science, and this scientific work is mostly conducted by the expert volunteers. We call them the Council of Experts and Expert Committee. And these expert committee members are from all around the world, and from academia, and from industry, and from government. And they are just the volunteers. And then they just provide their expertise to increase the quality of the medicine, dietary supplement, and food. Here we have a different part of the expert committees. The biggest one is probably the chemical medicines, which is the small molecules, including lots of conventional drugs and synthetic drugs. We also have the expert committee according to the biologics. And it's that expert committee divided into their specialties, such as we in here. And also we have an excipient, and then our own dietary supplement, herbal medicine, and food ingredient, and also healthcare quality and safety, and then general chapters. Inside of the dietary supplement and herbal medicine and food ingredient, we have 4 expert committees, which is expert committee of food ingredient and non-botanical dietary supplement, and the botanical dietary supplement herbal medicines. And And
Excuse me, Professor.
yes.
Could you please press slide share, please? I'm sorry for interrupting. Could you please press slide share? Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I did, but apparently I didn't. Okay, let me just share my slide again. Sorry for the interruption.
Can you please share show your slide on your PowerPoint, please?
Right. Okay.
Slideshow, yeah, that one there.
See, because I have two screens, so that's why. Is that showing the
So on
slide?
your right, on the bottom right, they have an icon stated the slideshow. Yep, on your right bottom. That one there, slideshow. Yep.
Is it okay now, or?
No, it's not. On your PowerPoint screen at the bottom right, you will see the icon stated the slideshow. If you can just press that. Yeah, thank you very much, Professor.
So it's not still showing yet. Okay.
But yeah, it's actually all right because it's fine if you just share the PowerPoint because still we can still see it clearly.
So is it okay now, or?
Yeah, it is. Thank you very much, Professor.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have multiple screens actually, so I probably clicked a different screen. So anyways, so let's continue. And then, so we have these expert committees. So, and then USP has a public standard, which is the written standard, and the physical standard, which is reference standard. Showing here is the website of the USPNF, which contains a drug and an excipient, and then also lots of others. And then also we have a FCC, Food Chemical Codex, which include the food. And then we have a United States adopted name, the USP dictionary, and which has a lot of names and official names included. And then we have another compendium which only contains the dietary supplement. And then for the dietary supplement, and this is botanical and non-botanical included. And then we have a lot of other information in here. Basically, dietary supplement is a part of the section of the USPNF. But also we have the separate section in this dietary supplement compendium. And this Pharmacopoeia forum online is about, this is actually online only, published to receive the public comment. During the process of the monograph development, we need to receive the comment from the public. So we actually posted this PF for 90 days and to receive the public comment. And then, of course, we have a reference standard which we use for the compendial use for this monographs in this compendia. These monographs, these compendia are the compendia that contains the botanical standard, which is a USP, United States Pharmacopoeia, which is USP and NF. And then here we have a lot of drugs, and then lots of natural product-based drugs, and then also dietary supplement as a part of the section. And then we have a food chemical codex, and then based on the food, and then dietary supplement compendium, and also as a new one, another compendium, which is called the Herbal Medicines Compendium, which is dedicated only for the herbal medicines. So why public standard? Why we need a public standard, and what is the public standard? So public standard is set by the independent expert using robust, transparent process that involves the evaluation and the incorporation of public comment. And then experts drawn from the diverse section, including academia, industry, and then regulatory bodies. And standards are based on the development and the submission of the robust data. And then public standard intended to meet the need of the different manufacturers, regulators, and the multiple suppliers, practitioners, and eventually customers. And these are the meaning of the public standard, what we think. So for our dietary supplement herbal medicines program, this is actually the page of our website. So in our website, there are lots of information included. And then you can see what we are doing and what our product is and what our plan is. So lots of information you can find through this website. So the important compendia, one of them is the dietary supplement compendium that includes the natural product. So this is actually dietary supplement book, which is somewhat different from the one have the herbal medicines. And this dietary supplement compendium is has a monograph and then general chapters from USPNF and FCC. And then we have lots of other supplementary information. And then we also have in this book with the safety and admission reviews. This is very important because for the safety, without the safety, it is very difficult to be a dietary supplement because dietary supplement is very close to the food rather than the medicine. So we have a separate expert committee to review the safety of the admission. So they review and what can be included in the dietary as a dietary supplement. And then also this one book has a dietary intake tables and regulatory frameworks and the verification program documents and then guidance. And then also this book has an illustration section and the chromatograms that users can find the easy to use to for their test. For herbal medicines, we have a herbal medicines compendium. We have a herbal medicines monographs already contained in United States Pharmacopoeia because, as you imagine, in 1820 there are lots of herbal medicines in the USP book. But over time, the development of the synthetic drug and the antibiotics and lots of biologics, it became not so popular for the natural product-based herbal medicines. But in the 1970s and 80s, the need of this natural product-based drugs and then dietary supplement increased. And then eventually, we wanted to have the separate monograph compendium. One is the dietary supplement compendium, and then the other one is a herbal medicines compendium. Because in United States, there are no dedicated regulation for herbal medicines only. Herbal medicines is just like other medicines, and then FDA, US FDA review as a same as a drug, and then not the separate regulation. So without that FDA approval, we cannot include it to the USPNF based on the US law. So we created another compendium in 2013 that only dedicated for herbal medicines compendium. So this article, the herbal medicine article in this compendium is two conditions are approved by the national authority for the use of the ingredient herbal medicines or are included in the national pharmacopoeia. So if any herbal medicine included in the Thai pharmacopoeia can be included in the herbal medicines compendium. And then the other one is the other category is that it should be approved by USP expert committee. And then the content is monograph and general chapters and guidelines and chromatograms and a lot more. So this is actually this online only herbal medicines compendium. Start from the definition and the synonyms and a lot of other information. Also, this one provides the chromatograms of the HPTLC and then HPLC to help the users to recognize the chromatogram easily. So we are talking about the herbal medicines, and then lots of herbal medicines. In fact, most of the herbal medicines came from the traditional medicines. So Pharmacopoeia monographs from traditional medicines, how we actually think about it. And we need to assess the quality of the herbal product. So is it that intended article? Does it contain the substance responsible for the pharmacopoeia pharmacological actions at the expected level? So such as like minimum quantity. Is it free from the contaminant and the toxic substances? And then the specifications and the quality controls are required to registration in international commerce. And then the availability of the public specification can be freely adapted to facilitate international commerce and are generally required for the registration. So briefly describe the monograph development process. So anybody in academia or industry or regulation or somewhere else, they can suggest the monograph development for the standard. So suggest for the standard and then just provide the draft and then supporting information such as like validation data and then send it to us. And then that's the initiation. And then we do the technical review. And then expert committee review the monograph draft. And this monograph is proposed for comment. So as I mentioned before, we publish this one in the Pharmacopoeia forum and then get the 90-day public comment. And then after that, this expert committee review again with the comment, and they determine whether we will publish this monograph as a final monograph to USP Compendia or not. And then after that, even after published, if there's a need for the revision because of the monograph may need to be modernized, monograph need improve the test method and many other reasons, we will actually start to revise. So we can revise by ourselves, or we can revise by the request of any scientist. So what's the requirement for the developing standard? It needs to have the assessment of the regulatory status. Especially for the botanical dietary supplements, this is important because it's somehow regulated by the law. And then obviously there's a monograph component and the method validation and the supporting data and then technical data summary. What's in the monograph? So monograph usually comprised these elements. So it starts from the name, and then the description of the description, and then the definition, and then the list of the proposed test procedures and acceptance criteria, such as identification, assay, impurities, specific test, and the additional requirements. So this is the example of the Panax ginseng steamed root vein rhizome. In other words, it's called the red ginseng in many Asian countries. So this is actually the monograph for that herbal medicine in the Herbal Medicines Compendium. What can be included as identity? Actually, even before that, the naming is very important, and then the definition is very important. For the naming, we actually use the name, usually for the herbal medicines, we use the Latin binomial, because herbal medicines coming from the many different countries. such as Thailand and China and Japan and India and Africa and many other countries. And then these countries, their name are so different. And then so scientifically it can be, if it is not defined and scientifically, it is very confused. So we determined that using the Latin binomial could be a good establishment of the naming of the Herbal Medicines, the Herbal Medicines Compendium. And then the definition is about the level of the active component that's supposed to have in the monograph by the test, such as assay, and then the identification too. So for the test, the first one we need to do is the identity test, so which is identification test. So usually the multiple tests are necessary. We call it orthogonality, because one test probably not provide the good test result. So we normally include the HPTLC and HPLC as you've seen here, and also we include the botanical identification, which is the plant description, and then also microscopic description. And then identification should be able to discriminate between related species and then potential adulterant and the substitute, which are likely to be present. And then identification tests should be specific for the botanical ingredient and are usually combination of the 3 or more of the following, which is macroscopic, microscopic characters, and the chromatographic spectroscopic procedures, such as the fingerprint and the chemical reactions. This is not common in these days, but still is useful. And then it should be in agreement with the authorized title, definition, and the additional requirements such as labeling. So we're talking about the fingerprint in here, and so which is important because it is important that we determine each and every active component. However, it is also, and even more important, that we find the fingerprint of the specific the plant material that we are looking at. So we actually looking at the pattern and then the profile of the from the chromatography, such as HPTLC shown in here, and also or the HPLC as shown in here. So this profile definitely distinguished from other related species or adulterant, and then that gives the clear identification of this specific plant materials. For the strength, which is the minimum content of the active component, it's another code, we call it the assay. So this is actually the quantitative test and the measurement of the ranges of the pure substances or markers in standard extract and the preparations, and determination of the minimum content of the markers for crude herbs, the part of the plant powdered botanicals, native extract, not otherwise standardized. So we use the standardized extract to for the somewhat for the qualification of the plant material, not just for the assay, but for the identification. For this standardized extract, if we have this one, and then we will have the standardized chromatogram generated from here, and then with that, any samples, the chromatogram can be generated by the users, and then the users using this the chromatogram of the standardized extract, and then they can compare and compare that, and then they just found the similarity of the 2 chromatograms, and then they found that the material actually they can identify. System suitability is important because it needs to be the test that established in the compendium should be used in different systems. So system suitability tests that use to assess the suitability of the given chromatographic system to perform the intended analysis. So in chromatographic method validation, the commonly evaluated system suitability parameters are resolution or column efficiency in the absence of the resolving peak, and then the peak tailoring, and then the percent RSD of the peak response of the analyte, and then which is obtained from the several consecutive injections of the same control solution, typically 5 or more, and then it represents the variation of the analytical measurement due to the instrument error expressed in the percent RSD. Purity and the specific test, which in somehow we expressed as the contaminant and the word impurities. So we actually determine the impurity, which is process and degradation from the process and degradation. Also, somewhat we need to determine the unwanted component that it's supposed to be not there or certain, should be present in certain below level. So we need to have a test for the impurities if it is truly worried about, if we are truly worried about that impurities. And then the residue of ignition, and then for the contaminant, the toxic metals, and like inorganic impurities such as arsenate, mercury, lead, and then also pesticide, and then the microbial, and then toxic, and then others. And then need to specify the foreign organic matters, because plants can be collected from the field, but it's always possible that other materials can be included. So it needs to be specified. And then also other specific tests, which include the water content, optical rotation, and pH, and others. And also and the water content, and then also loss on drying, which is based on the test method. And additionally, additional components are packaging, and then storage, and the labeling, and then reference standard. And the reference standard is very important in the USP monograph, USP Compendium monographs, because without the reference standard, it is not possible to take the test in the monograph, the USP monograph. So it's actually specified in the USP General Notice, and then the USP General Chapter 11, and then here's the guidelines of the reference standard if someone wants to donate the reference standard candidate material to us. And the general requirement should be purity, amount, and supporting information. And then items to include the reference standard candidate should be the completed USP reference material information form, and the certificate of analysis, and then safety data sheet, and the other supporting data, which is spectroscopic and the chromatographic information. And the reference standard, as you see in here, is actually used for the monographs and the multiple lab testing, and then the comprehensive analysis, and then it's actually tested and the continued suitability for use, such like that. And then so this is actually all these issues and the comprise that to make our reference standard important. And then we consider this reference standard should have for the development of the monograph. So that's it for my presentation. And then so in conclusion, it is important to develop the public standard because of the quality of the herbal medicines, because lots of time the herbal medicines as a traditional medicine basis and the quality is in question. And especially herbal medicines used in many countries, and the one country and then from the other country nowadays, the commerce, international commerce is very frequent. So the established the standard in the pharmacopoeia like USP or Thai Pharmacopoeia is extremely important, and then it is very it is recommended that you consider this one as your establishing the standard for the use. And then this is my email address. So if you have any questions, and you can just directly send me the email. And I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nam-Cheol Kim. We already have one question in chat box. Are there any plans categorized as both dietary supplements and herbal medicine? What difference of each monograph?
That's a great question. Usually the regulatory status is different, and then how they are treated is different. And actually, in United States, there's no specific regulation for the herbal medicines, but we do have a regulation for the dietary supplement. So when we developed, it's actually different because herbal medicine is the medicine and the dietary supplement is more close to the food. So we have mostly the testing method and the active ingredient and the finding out that HPTS and HPLC should be similar or the same. But when we determine the microbial content or pesticide or some other things, it could be different because one treated as a medicine and the other one is as close to the food. So that could be some differences. And also, that's as I said, the regulatory base is different, and which has treated as a different category in most countries.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Nam-Cheol Kim, for sharing your valuable presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Here we